Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear could shatter all of your preconceived notions about love, loyalty, and hip-hop royalty, because what 50 Cent said just 24 hours ago wasn't just a confession, rather it was a funeral for the perception that we all had of Remy Ma and Papoose. We were together before 50 said calm, cold, certain. In that one sentence he ended a marriage. He destroyed a legacy and revealed a secret that had been kept hidden since 2006. In the meantime, Papoose, the man who waited 4 years while Remy was imprisoned and who had given her complete loyalty, went live, his hands shaking and his eyes red, and he said just one line: "She told me it was a lie, but I saw the messages, and now Remy is denying everything." The 50s are doubling down, and the internet is in flames, with old footage resurfacing mysterious gifts backstage. The internet believed it had seen it all: cheating scandals, secret babies, hidden marriages, but nothing, we mean nothing, could have prepared the culture for this, because when 50 Cent, the king of trolling and petty vengeance, dropped his latest bombshell on a podcast, no one was prepared. Now there are whispers that suddenly make too much sense. This isn't just a scandal. This is a full-blown betrayal saga, and we have the whole ugly truth right here. People forgot how close Remy and I were, and they assumed it was a joke, clickbait cap, until the host paused, leaned forward and asked, "Wait, you serious?" And 50 just nodded calmly, cold, even when watching the entire hip-hop timeline imploded. He didn't blink or smirk. Instead, he just looked into the camera and said, "We were together before Papoose." Suddenly, Twitter went into DEFCON 1 and reanalyzed old photos of Remy and 50 backstage. Frame by frame, Remy's 2006 freestyle on Gun It Radio is now viewed in a completely different light. You may also recall that award show moment where Papoose looked visibly irritated as 50 gave Remy a slightly too long hug. That one is now viral once more. But let's go back in time to see how deeply this betrayal cuts, even though 50 Cent had just destroyed Ja Rule's entire label with a mixtape and a glare. Remy Ma was the first lady of Terror Squad, spinning bars that left male rappers shook. Their chemistry was evident every time they shared a stage. And it was always fireworks, but no one suspected anything, at least not aloud, because by the time Remy was imprisoned in 2008, all they could see was the man who supported her put his entire career on hold, wrote her letters, paid legal fees, and waited for the woman he loved. He told the world, "Remy is my queen." When she eventually got out in 2014, their reunion was heartwarming, legendary, and in a subtle way, a rap love story that will live on for generations to come. Because what if the story we all believed was false? What if in those years we thought Remy and Papoose were together? There was another man behind the scenes, one with receipts, one with a history, and one who had no qualms about disclosing anything. That's exactly what 50 Cent did, and this is where it gets sinister. Sources close to the situation. By sources, we mean people who shouldn't be talking but did say that Remy and 50 weren't just talking but were actually deeply involved, as in matching watches, private hotel reservations, and a custom chain that 50 allegedly gave her that mysteriously disappeared just before her trial. Remy claimed that she lost it, and Papoose reportedly didn't question her, he just believed her. Fast forward to the present, and that same chain is back in use on eBay, where it is listed by an anonymous seller with the caption, "Vintage piece, once owned by a female rapper who dated a mogul." You can't make this up, so what? When Papoose, a man who sacrificed years of his life to prove his loyalty, discovers the truth, he simply breaks down. This is exactly what viewers witnessed when he went live on Instagram, a few hours after 50's confession hit the shade room. He didn't say much, but the look in his eyes said it all. Tears welled up, hands shook, and for the first time in his career, Papoose had no bars or quotes. "She told me it was just industry jargon, and that 50 was trolling. But then, I saw the messages. As you are already aware, we dug a little and discovered that, let's just say, even Fat Joe had to back off." However, don't hold that thought for long, because according to an unnamed stylist who worked with Remy during her comeback period, there were always the timelines are now blowing up with receipts, old tweets, backstage footage, and blurry screenshots from a flip phone that someone swears is Remy and 50 kissing at a gun at after party. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. As Remy tried to deny everything, gaslight, and spin the story as though it was just a simple incident, tension, Pap would leave the room, and 50 would arrive. It felt strange, like unfinished business. When trust is broken, it's not always the shouting that hurts the most, but rather the silence. The long pauses between sentences, and the look on a man's face when he realizes he gave his life to someone who gave their body to someone else. Remy was tweeting Bible verses and causing damage. But this time nobody bought it, not even Papoose. That's where the scandal really begins to burn. 50 Cent was posting laughing emoji and playing a lot of men in the background of his gym stories, but he wasn't finished. He promised more proof was coming. And when he says more, you can bet it's already loaded in the chamber. As fans started to wonder what else 50 had planned, another leaked voicemail from 2006, purportedly from Remy Ma, surfaced online, allegedly saying his viewers were still processing the audio bomb. Papoose broke, betrayed, and finished playing the devoted soldier, moved away from the camera, grabbed a piece of paper and held the words, "You ain't got to worry about Pat, he don't ask questions." The voice sounds the same, the tone is desperate and emotional, and the timestamp on the metadata is October 12, 2006. 2 weeks before Remy was charged, it read DNA test pending wait, DNA test, and suddenly the internet stopped discussing whether 50 Cent was telling the truth and instead asked who's the father, because the piece of paper that Pooh held up didn't just frighten fans, it sent shockwaves through the entire industry. Nobody anticipated that it would get this far, and nobody thought Papoose would question the one item he kept tighter than anything in his own family. But when betrayal enters the conversation, everything becomes up for grabs, according to sources. The test isn't about his daughter with Remy, or even one of the children they raised together, rather it's about an older person whose birthday coincides somewhat too closely with the period of time that Remy and 50 Cent were allegedly dating back in 2006, and there are now rumors that Papoose had doubts for years, but consistently ignored them out of loyalty, trust, and love. However, when that voicemail in which Remy allegedly said, "Pap, don't ask questions," leaked, everything fell apart. According to those close to Pap, he has been quiet, hardly eating, and sleeping, and the worst part is that he is doing it all off camera. Now the man who once went live to defend his queen is ignoring calls from media outlets and refusing interviews, and stopping studio sessions, but the silence is loud. Meanwhile, Remy is defending herself by sharing motivational quotes and family photos to make it seem like the house isn't burning from the inside, but the public isn't buying it, because when the DNA rumor broke, fans began pulling up old interviews, one of which was from a 2015 breakfast show, receiving a lot of attention again in that clip. Remy is asked about the timeline of her relationship with Papoose. She stutters awkwardly, and people are zooming in and slowing it down, pointing out how she looks sideways when asked about 2006. Then there's the grainy but intense footage from a gun at afterparty, in which Remy is seen whispering in her 50's ear while holding what looks to be the same chain that's now everyone knew something was going on between 50 and Remy, but it was hush-hush. No one wanted to deal with Papoose if it got out. "Dude was serious," reads an anonymous former security guard who worked for both Jeanette and Fat Joe in the mid-200s in a private direct message to a hip-hop blog. The clip also shows a man who looks a lot like Papoose walking away in the background. But wait, it gets messier. The same guard 50 claims that she once pulled up to Remy's hotel suite without warning and let him in. He stayed there for more than 3 hours without any camera crews or entourage, just the two of them. Fast forward to the present, and those peaceful evenings are now making headlines. Remy Ma hasn't addressed the new accusations directly, but fans noticed that she removed an old Instagram post that included a vintage picture of Papoose holding their child, reportedly canceled a planned podcast appearance citing mental health issues just hours after the DNA test craze began to gain traction. Coincidentally, Fat Joe, who had been strangely silent throughout the chaos, finally broke his silence in a mysterious Instagram live. He didn't name names, but he said that this loyalty is uncommon, and sometimes the people fans are now speculating that Fat Joe knew about Remy and 50 all along, and that he protected her image by remaining silent out of respect for the squad. But now that the truth is coming to light, even he can't contain it any longer. As for 50 Cent, he's having a field day. He posted a clip from Remy Raps. "I keep secrets better than my enemies can blink in an old freestyle fight," captioned it with no longer, then removed it, but not before every gossip blog took a screenshot of it within 15 minutes. Remember, this is 50, the man who had a feud with his own son and who made fun of Floyd Mayweather for reading aloud, disregard for being polite. So, when he claims that more receipts are on the way, we believe him. According to people close to his camp, he has voicemails, old pictures, text messages, and even a signed birthday card that Remy supposedly sent him in 2006. It has a heart in the words, "Thanks for always having my back," and more. At the same time, that card is being authenticated, and Papoose is reportedly making subtle moves because it's no longer about loyalty, but rather clarity, closure, and possibly even custody. At this point, Papoose recently booked a solo flight to Atlanta, the same city where his cousin lives and works in private investigation. Let's just say that cousin isn't on Instagram, if that doesn't say. "I'm finding the truth myself, we don't know what does." One insider revealed that Papoose is considering submitting for legal separation, but only after the DNA results are in. Until then, he is silent, motionless, and observing everything. As for Remy, she was seen last night at a private dinner in Manhattan by herself with no press or Papoose present, just her and her phone, hardly touching her food. According to an eyewitness, she appeared worn out and troubled, and fans saw that same evening that she took off her wedding ring in her most recent Instagram post. The couple, who were once thought to be unbreakable, are now unraveling in slow motion, in real time. While millions watch, 50 Cent is still making cryptic posts, hinting that there is one more thing that will put an end to this story permanently. What could it be? Is there a video or recorded call where someone who knows the truth is just waiting to come forward after weeks of speculation, silent glances, and online detective work from every corner of hip-hop Twitter? The results are in, and the child is Papoose. This isn't over though, because if the DNA test comes back and the child isn't Papoose, it will not only ruin a relationship, it will completely rewrite a legacy. It began with whispers, then it turned into a confession, and now it's a total collapse. Thought was he's not the father. That sentence went viral on the internet. Screenshots of the documents started to circulate in a matter of seconds. The lab name was redacted, but the date and result were too bold and unmistakable to ignore, according to insiders. Papoose didn't initially read the entire document. Instead, he only saw that the man who had previously wrapped up holding his queen down through prison walls needed someone to hold him up. According to sources, he hasn't spoken to Remy directly since the outcome was silence and distance. She allegedly sent voice notes, attempted to frame it as confusion, as a timing issue, and even said, "You were still the one who brought him up." However, it didn't work out because to Papoose, this wasn't about biology. Rather, it was about betrayal and being made to appear foolish in front of a world that once hailed him as the epitome of unwavering loyalty. Now that image is gone unbroken and unchipped, and worse, the internet won't let it rest, turning old interviews into memes. Responses to that widely shared video, in which Remy said to Wendy Williams, "Pap is the only man I've ever trusted." It's now overlaid with 50 Cent's laugh over and over again, and speaking of 50, he didn't wait long to spike the football. Just hours after the DNA bomb dropped, he posted a clip of my yelling, "You are not the father," with a caption that reads, "I told you." But according to legal insiders, things are now going beyond social media. Papoose has already contacted a lawyer to determine whether a formal statement is required to protect his name, his finances, and, in his own words, "What little peace I got left, they said, I was being messy." And he followed it up with a video of him drinking tea. It was a classic petty, inevitable. The same people who once pumped her up in the comments are now leaking information to blogs, claiming that Remy is devastated not only by the outcome, but also by the fact that her inner circle is turning against her numerous stylists and assistants. They claimed that this wasn't a one-time error, that the relationship with 50 lasted longer than anyone realized, that she had genuine feelings for him, and that she buried them in order to start a new life. With one even claimed that Papoose always stated that she would deny the truth to the end of her life if it were revealed. She never imagined that 50 would speak up, but he did, and now her world is falling apart. She was in negotiations for a new reality show spin-off, but it is now dead in the water. One sponsor allegedly stated, "We can't align ourselves with someone whose narrative is shifting so violently." And that, as what was once thought to be a redemption story, Remy returning from prison and rebuilding her career while standing tall beside a faithful king, is now being rewritten as something completely different. It's not just betrayal, but a PR relationship, a rebrand based on strategy and silence, a queen who never truly left her first king behind. And throughout it all, people are talking about how Fat Joe went live. Again, more bluntly, he stated, "I love them both, but falsehoods don't remain hidden long, and when they surface, they kick in the door rather than knock." Even admirers disagree. Some believe Papoose should have seen that he was too good to be true, and that no guy could ride so hard for so long without being questioned, while others vehemently support him, calling him the last true man who gave it his all. The people who are defending Remy claim that mistakes happen and that her past shouldn't define her present. They also claim that perhaps 50 is using this to gain attention, and that the industry is the real villain here, always ready to destroy black love the moment it takes center stage. However, nobody can deny that Papoose is no longer talking, not to blogs or anyone else, Toto fans, not to Remy, and that silence is the loudest part of this whole mess, because it indicates that he has finished defending, explaining, and acting. According to one friend, he is getting ready to take a break from music and focus on his daughter, his family, and the aspects of his life that still feel real. Remy is still posting, but it's a while before he disappears. Dot feels different now. A throwback here, a quote. "Nothing personal, nothing emotional, just noise," as if she's drowning in it, knowing that the apology won't work this time, and the child at the center of it, according to all the sources. Papoose will continue to support them privately because he did so from the start. And unlike some, he remembers everything he said. But don't be fooled. The damage is what once stood as the most unbreakable love story in hip-hop is now dust, and as 50 Cent smirks and leaves Remy, Ma is left to clean up a mess that will never be forgotten, because the internet never forgets. The screenshots and the truth always comes to light. As Papoose once said, "Loyalty is love with legs." As it happens, it left the jest when we thought the story was over. A new picture appeared on blogs showing 50 Cent grinning while standing outside a studio with a woman wearing sunglasses. The caption said nothing but "next Friday," as if someone had another story to share, and there you have it, the truth is broken like glass. The silence is louder than ever, and the man is looking for loyalty now that he stands in the ruins of everything he believed in. We ask you, was Remy ever truly honest with Papoose? Did 50 speak up to expose the truth, or just to stoke an old flame? Can a relationship last? This isn't just about 50 Cent, Remy Ma, or even Papoose. It's about how quickly love turns into headlines, how one confession can destroy decades of trust, and how loyalty is going extinct. Please share your thoughts in the comments section once the receipts are made public. If you're still in shock and trying to piece together the betrayal, or if you're just waiting to see what comes out next, please make sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications because this story is far from over. Trust us, the next upcoming chapter, and you'll want to be when it falls here. This is the messiest love triangle on the internet.